XRP is not a security, and according to Pro-XRP lawyer Bill Morgan, it never was and never will be. That is the biggest takeaway from Ripple's latest legal win against the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, and it is the first point worth making right away. The case, which has been dragging on for years, has finally reached a conclusion that legally settles Ripple's programmatic sales and institutional sales of XRP. As Morgan puts it, these sales and distributions were lawful. This outcome is more than just a win for Ripple. It is a moment of vindication for the XRP community, which Morgan describes as having endured a collateral attack against XRP through the SEC's lawsuit. The decision directly shuts down one of the core arguments used against the token, that it should be classified as a security. But Morgan did not stop at celebrating. He went on the offensive, targeting what he calls Bitcoin maxis, and in particular Michael Saylor, the chairman of MicroStrategy. Saylor has been known for saying that only Bitcoin is a commodity and that all other altcoins are securities. In response, Morgan's message was blunt. XRP itself was, is, and forever will be not a security. And to those Bitcoin maximalists, he added a much harsher remark, making it very clear how he feels about their repeated claims. Michael Saylor's stance has long been that Bitcoin stands alone as the only legitimate digital asset, while everything else should fall under securities regulation. But this court outcome, and Morgan's comments, challenge that narrative directly. It is not just about legal classification. It is about how certain voices in the Bitcoin community have framed the discussion, often, according to Morgan, with a lack of fairness and accuracy. One of the more controversial aspects here is the language used by some Bitcoin advocates toward the XRP community. Morgan points out that terms like retard are repeatedly used when these advocates face opposing views. In his words, I have observed that many Bitcoin maxis use this specific word when their Bitcoin-only ideology is challenged. This is not just a difference of opinion. It is a culture clash within the crypto space, and Morgan is calling out what he sees as a pattern of derogatory behavior. Adding to this tension, Adam Livingston, a popular Bitcoin community member, recently accused Ripple of preparing to dump their XRP holdings on retail investors through banks. He went further, saying that XRP holders were like a financial abuse victim with Stockholm Syndrome, implying that they were enabling Ripple's so-called exit strategy. Morgan's response was pointed. He highlighted that since its inception, XRP is up 50,929%, a statistic meant to counter the idea that the token has been a poor investment or that the community is somehow being exploited. He also directly labeled people like Livingston as amongst the most dishonest people I have ever come across, noting his own legal background in consumer fraud and misleading conduct. Now, while these heated exchanges dominate the headlines, there's also the market reaction to consider. Following the positive legal outcome, XRP's price surged 13% to $3.35. More importantly, daily trading volume exploded, up 168% to over $11 billion. That is a significant sign that traders, both retail and possibly institutional, are taking the news seriously. For the XRP community, this is a moment of momentum. Legally, the case has settled one of the most damaging uncertainties. Market-wise, interest is clearly spiking. And politically, the token's defenders like Bill Morgan are not just defending. They are pushing back hard against years of criticism from Bitcoin's most vocal supporters. Looking ahead, some experts are already predicting a potential BlackRock XRP ETF filing. While that remains speculation, the timing would be strategic. A major legal hurdle is now behind Ripple, and the public conversation around XRP's legitimacy has been reignited, this time with court backing. If such an ETF were to appear, it could fundamentally shift how mainstream finance views the token. In the end, this is not only about Ripple or XRP. It is about how narratives in the crypto industry are shaped and who gets to define legitimacy. Bill Morgan is making it clear that XRP will not quietly accept the labels imposed by its critics, no matter how high-profile they are. And with the legal decision now settled, the conversation may shift from defending XRP's status to asking how it can expand its role in the broader digital asset economy. If the trading numbers and market reaction are any indication, the fight for XRP's position is far from over. But for now, Ripple and its supporters have every reason to feel that they are on the winning side.